I'm here with actor Johnny Rios, the talented young man who is starring as Ravi on Netflix's new show Chambers. Before we dig into Chambers, let's talk a little bit about what drew you to acting. When did you first decide it was going to be something that you were going to do as a full-time career?
Yeah, acting, I stumbled into acting by mistake. I grew up in a sports background, so I played sports my whole life in Tampa, Florida. And I wound up going to a small school in Gainesville, Florida. And I was studying education there and trying to figure out if I wanted to do the medical field or, education. My father's a doctor, so I was kind of going to follow in his footsteps. And I took an acting class, a theater class, just as an easy A, to be honest with you. I just wanted to try to get an easy A, I was like, I wanted to keep my GPA up high for medical school or, master's programs or whatever I wanted, whatever I was trying to do at the time. And I fell in love immediately.
Yeah.
I was just so blessed that where I had a teacher, his name's Greg Jones, who's now my mentor, and he, the first class, he put us through like an exercise, we kind of got to know each other and stuff, and it just reminded me so much of sports, and I just found my crowd there. I didn't really fit in much. I was kind of like with like sort of a chameleon where I was hanging out with different groups and stuff, but I couldn't really find a home. And after the first class, I waited for everybody to leave, and the teacher was kind of setting up and stuff, and I went in and like slowly started like moving chairs where he was kind of looking at me like, "The fuck is this guy?" And I told him, I pulled him aside and I said, "Hey, listen, I've never experienced anything art-wise. I've come from a sports background. I've never took any arts classes or anything, but I want to do this." And he kind of looked at me like, "Okay, you sure?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I want to do this." Like immediately, like first 10 minutes, I was a bit kind of like out of my element, and then after that, when we did the exercise, I was like, "This is what I want to do. That's it."
That's amazing. I clicked that quickly.
Yeah, I got super lucky. And so he said, "Okay, if you really want to do this, you could come to my office." I think it was like a Thursday, which was like the next day or 2 days after. Come to my office and let's talk. I said, "Okay." I think he wasn't expecting me to actually show up.
Right.
So but I showed up, and he looked at me surprised. And he was like, "Okay," kind of like a test. And he started handing me these books, and he's like, "Read these books, acting books, and Chekhov and Shakespeare and all these things." And he's like, "Whenever you're done, take your time. Whenever you're done, come back to me, and I'll see you next week." And he gave me like 6 books, and I read all of them in like 3 days.
Wow.
Just sitting down, just reading, and I showed up to his office and I was like, "I hope you don't mind. I'll buy you new books." But I had to like highlight and put notes in them because they were just so informational. And he just started laughing. He was like, "They're yours now," and I still have them.
That's awesome.
And so I wound up doing that, and then he casted me in an original play that he wrote, which is called Voyage Imaginaire, which was amazing. I wound up meeting lifelong friends. Steven Medina, who's a great actor. He's one of my best friends now. Lives in New York as well. And and then so I was doing that. I finished the play. I hung out with him one night, and I was working at a liquor store because that's what you do in a college job. You know what I mean? It's like that's what you do. It's like you work at a liquor store.
You weren't going for Oscars in college.
Right, exactly. So I was just like, trying to make easy money, and then also like, I was working at a liquor store. Like,
and you get a discount, right?
Exactly. I got my friend, hook up my friends and stuff.
You worked there.
Exactly, yeah. And I hook up my friends and stuff like that. So I was sitting there, and it was just like like a Sunday or something. It was during the summer semester, so it was like super slow, and I was kind of just trying to figure it out. And I remember calling my dad, and one day while I was there, and I was like, "I'm gonna quit my job and move to New York." And he was like,
How'd that go?
He loved it.
Oh,
he loved
really?
the idea.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't
really
stress
great.
enough like how supportive my parents are. I mean, my mom is incredibly involved with my career. My dad is super supportive, and just always pushing me to like just keep going. My mom and my family.
Yeah, that's amazing then that you had a mentor right away.
Yeah.
And you also had the support of your family.
Absolutely.
Which doesn't always happen when you say you want to quit.
Yeah, it's
trying to be
very
a
rare.
doctor to be an actor.
Right, it's very rare because my parents are first generation. They come from nothing, and so they busted their ass to provide for me and my siblings. So the fact that it could have gone 2 ways, right? It could have gone like they busted their ass so like they can, so we can be doctors and lawyers and stuff, but they they had the heart of busting their ass to where we can do whatever we wanted to do.
Which is, when you say first generation, you mean they weren't born here, or they were born here?
They were born here.
were born
yeah,
here.
yeah. So my grandparents come from
Gotcha.
Puerto Rico, Cuba, stuff like that. So
People are probably watching this thing like, how do you not know what first generation is?
no, it's okay. No, I get it mixed up too. And so that all happened, and they were incredibly supportive. And he was like, "When are you thinking about doing that?" I was like, "I think I'm going to drop out this week, quit my job, collect my last check, and go to New York." And he said, "Okay." And I was like,
Did you know anybody here, or are you?
yeah, I have a few family members here and there, but
Oh,
like
that's good.
nobody's in a business. I slept on some couches and stuff. But overall, I was like there trying to wing it. My parents have always been supportive of me, and my dreams and what I wanted to do. But they also kind of wanted me to figure it out.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts to like
Right.
completely quit what you know and what you thought your life was going to take one
Right.
way, and then come to New York, which isn't exactly the most friendly of places
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
new to it.
Yeah, it's cutthroat.
And then
over
yeah,
there.
and then sleeping on couches, and so that says a lot
Yeah.
about the character of you as an actor and
Thank
as a person.
You. Yeah, and so that's the type of person I am. I just
Yeah.
go in 100%. When I want to do something, I just dive in.
So when you got here, what were you pursuing? Were you pursuing film, theater, and television, or were you just trying to establish yourself, get an agent, that kind
Yeah,
of stuff?
no, I mean, I wasn't. I was thinking about the agent manager thing, but I come from a sports background, and I saw my parents just bust their ass every single day to provide for us. So I knew going into this, I was like, I don't want to be this guy who like got discovered on the street. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I took this incredibly serious, take
Yeah.
this very seriously, and I look at art as similar to sports, where you have attributes. Like my voice on stage, okay, I got that. I can, keep improving that. My movement on stage, oh, I'm stiff. My emotional life. So I was looking at it that way. And so when I came here, I started going out on these auditions, these random auditions, do like backstage and stuff like that. But I like maybe 2 or 3 weeks in, I enrolled into Stella Adler Studio of Acting, where I studied there for 3 years total, and I did a 2-year conservatory, and so that's really where I got my training and sort of the bolts and screws
Yeah.
of acting, and really they provided so much for me. I mean, they gave me classes, they gave me scholarships, all different kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. So
So what was your first role that you booked once you were here pursuing it?
Chambers.
You hadn't done anything before Chambers? at all?
I've done some short
You
films
d-
here.
That's
and
what I
there.
mean.
Yeah.
like, well,
So,
yeah,
so,
yeah. I
but
thought you
my
had
first
other
like
credits.
big professional,
Right.
my
I know
first
this was
professional
that,
credit
yeah.
is Chambers. But yeah, I was doing student films like NYU,
Mm-hmm.
some Columbia stuff. I was doing a theater, like a self-generated theater, essentially, where I would bring some of my friends together, and we would just
That's the best kind of thing you can do here in
Yeah,
New York. There's
yeah,
so
yeah.
much that you can do
Yeah.
on your own, and so that's amazing that you got that experience
Right.
out of the gate.
Yeah, and Stella Adler helped me with that,
Yeah.
and they gave me free space, and I self-produced 2 plays with a theater company, and yeah, that's kind of like how we experienced it. The day of,
Yeah.
we would go up for like tech and stuff the day before performances, and we're like running around buying crates from like bodegas to build sets and stuff. So it's like
It's exciting though. It's
oh,
fun.
it's the best. It's
invigorating.
the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right up there with Chambers for me. Like
Yeah.
those experiences like are the greatest.
Builds your character, and you
Yeah.
see what you're really made of.
Absolutely.
One of the things I like to joke with every actor about, especially the New York-based ones, are you're not a real actor until you've been on Law and Order or done a horror
Oh,
film. And have you done a horror? Was one of your student films a horror film?
No.
See, you're not. Well, you come
And I
back to
haven't
me when
been
you're a
on
real
Law-
actor, and we'll
yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. You're here. You go in for Chambers.
Right.
It's your first big audition, and then you book it. Like, what was that feeling like going through your head? Like, shit, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get a Netflix show.
Yeah, yeah,
This
it
isn't
was-
some one-off that I'm gonna do like a 2-second guest star where I'm a cop in a
Yeah.
uniform or.
Yeah, it was a very strange, beautiful experience that I still haven't fully processed. To be honest with you, I'm kind of just like going through the movements. What happened was I just started working with an agent and manager who found me through Stella Adler's showcase, and we had done like the pilot season and everything. I was like fresh out of school, maybe like 6 or 7 months. We had kind of done the pilot season stuff, and nothing was really sticking. It was my first time really getting out to, going in for all these big casting directors.
Right.
And I went into Alexa Fogel's office. She casts like pose and stuff. She's like the biggest casting director in New York, and it was for this part. And
That says something about your talent right there, that you're already getting in with bigger casting directors.
yeah, I got lucky.
So that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I'm very fortunate about that. And I remember they sent me the sides. I was reading the sides. It's like cool. And then I was like, this is great material to grasp on. And then I read the script, and I was just like, I remember calling my mom, who knows everything that I'm doing, and
Right.
very involved, and telling her, which may sound cocky, but it's the truth. I told her, I said, this is my part. Like, this is it. Like,
When
this
you
is-
initially got the script, how much did you know going in? Did you know what your arc would be over the whole course, or you just had one episode?
No, so I was reading the sides, and I was like, this is amazing material to grasp onto and to show, what I've been working on these past few years in school and my talent. But when I read the script, it was more so about what Leah Rachel was able to create, this world of like these dynamic characters who are so real and are just people that you would see every day, but under these circumstances that are, horrific. And
Right.
I have that scene in the first episode. It's very mysterious, and I
Yeah.
knew that what they were going to create was, I felt what they were going to create was a huge character arc, and for my character, which they wind up doing. And so, yeah, I saw that, and back to the audition. I went in, and it kind of went like every other audition, where I sat down, I read it, gave it my 100%. She said thank you. I walked out, and I was like, okay, another audition.
Yeah.
I was a bit bummed because I only read it once, and usually that means you didn't get it or they're
Right,
not
right.
interested, and that's kind of just the truth of the unspoken part of the business. And I was workshopping a play called The Eyes That Don't See, and it was over at Iati Theater. And so we were doing like this workshop production. I was in rehearsal, and I was getting blown up by my manager. I was just like getting all these phone calls, like, I'm in the middle of rehearsal, dude, like I can't. And so we wound up getting a break. I called him, I was like, hey, what's up, everything okay? And he was just like, look, they want you to fly to Los Angeles to do the screen test callback or whatever for the role. And I was like, okay. I'm terrified of flying, like horrified of flying. So I was excited for like a few seconds,
And then I was like, oh, shit.
oh no, I gotta fly 6 hours to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you medicate yourself at least?
I did medicate myself.
Good for
To
you.
be honest, I got
Good
a
for you.
prescription, so I did. Yeah.
We
And
don't
you-
endorse drug use in this
No.
interview or
No,
on
no,
my
no, it
website.
was a
We're talking about a little thing to calm you down.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Let's not get crazy. out there, people.
And so what happened was, so I'm flying over there, and it doesn't hurt that you're like in first class, and like you got like a little bed, and they give you blankets and
Yeah.
a towel and stuff. So I was kind of like enjoying it at the same time.
That's the way to fly.
Yeah, that's the way to
When you
fly.
need a personal assistant, I'll be
Yeah.
there. Never been in first class.
And
Let
so-
me know when you blow up and you're going for an Oscar or
Yeah.
something like that. I'll be there.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, and then so I wound up going, and I get to LA, and I'm at the Hotel Roosevelt, which is like iconic, and I'm on Hollywood Boulevard, and I'm looking at the stars on the floor, and I'm just like, I'm really here in Los Angeles.
It was like a pinch me moment.
Yeah, it was like a real, and I was calling, and I wound up FaceTiming my mom, and I wound up going to a very popular food chain that I'm not gonna name because I enjoy, and
Why do
you'll
I
see
feel
why.
like
You'll
is
see
it
why.
something that everyone goes to when you go to?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you'll see why. And so I wound up, and I wound up going to this place, and I just start chowing down, like just tearing the food up. So good. I was like, ah. And I go back to the hotel, and I'm chilling like in this nice suite, and I'm like in my robe, and I'm studying my lines, and I'm just like getting ready for tomorrow, or for the next day, and I'm like getting ready. I'm just like, I'm about to go murder this. And so I wake up the next day, and I have this pain in my stomach, and I'm just like, what's going on? I wake up at like maybe like 6:30, 7 o'clock because it's 3 hours behind. So I
Right.
wake up super early. My audition's like at 11:30 or something. And the casting director tells me to come a bit early. I said, cool. And I'm sitting around, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm anxious, if I'm nervous. I'm not really nervous because I feel very prepared for this part. I'm very excited, but I'm not nervous, if that makes sense. And so I grab a little bit of coffee, and so I wind up walking around, which nobody in LA does. So I look like a creep.
That's a New York.
Yeah,
you did.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a New York
Yeah.
thing.
I wound up walking to my audition, so they're like gonna get me like a car and everything and all these different. I was like, no, I'm gonna walk, kind of clear my mind. That's what I do here in New York.
Yeah.
And so I was the creep walking around LA by myself, and so
They drive like literally half a block.
yeah. And then so I wind up getting to the audition, and my stomach is tearing me up, and I'm studying my sides, but I'm like starting to like almost like I'm starting to sweat. And I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on? And so again, I call my mom. I'm a mama's boy, as you can tell already. And so I wound up calling my mom and be like, yeah, I'm not feeling right. And she's like, just stick it out, go kill it. Like, you know what I mean? Just like tough it out. It's like, okay. So I wind up showing up to the office. The casting director sees me, gives me a big old hug. Thank you so much for coming. I'm like, thank you for having me. I see all these, other actors. And
Probably
I'm just
unheard of too, to get that reaction and welcome.
Yeah, no, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's like, it's just so amazing and so talented, and just, I can't say enough great things about her. She's amazing. And I felt so invited in, but I couldn't sit down. Everybody's sitting down, and like, that's another thing. Like, you're in the audition room, you could go over your lines and stuff, but there's also like an unspoken thing. It's like, don't distract other actors, and don't be that weirdo that's like going through like the motions and stuff. Like, you kind of just sit there and you just chill, and you don't want to distract your fellow actors. And so, but I couldn't sit, and so I was kind of like standing up and pacing around. Everybody thought I was nervous, but I just had this pain in my stomach. And then she tells me, that there's a few people ahead of you. Thank you for coming early. Like, just hang out for a bit. I said, yeah, no problem. I was sitting there. I was like, something's not right. And then I get like a punch in the stomach. And I run outside and start throwing up everywhere. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm throwing up. I'm like feeling like I'm gonna pass out. I'm like, why is this going on? And I was like, Johnny.
And you knew it wasn't nerves, so.
No, I knew it wasn't nerves.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting. I'm like, why am I throwing up? And I'm getting nervous. Now I start getting nervous,
Right.
and I'm just like,
Well,
what's going on? And I'm like, and I almost started crying because I was like, I prepped so hard for this. Like, I dug in so hard. I read the script like 8 times. I was just like nonstop, just studying this part, developing these characters, using all the exercises that I used in Stella. Like, I dove in 100% to this. And I was like, I can't believe that I'm throwing up right now. Like, what the hell is going on? So I wound up going to the bathroom, just washing my mouth a bit, like washing the throw up from my shoes, nasty. And so I wound up getting to the back to the waiting room, and then I'm up next immediately. Like, it was perfect timing, but like horrible timing at the same time, because I needed a second to just chill. And so I'm like, so I wound up going in there, and when I walk into the room, I like, walk in and I make it right, and like, there everybody is. Leah Rachel, the creator of the show. Alexa, the casting director. Alfonso Gomez, who's like an iconic director, like one of the best, if not the best of our time. Me, Erland, The Dying Girl, American Horror Story, like incredible. And I'm and a fellow Latino as well. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God. Everyone's Akela Cooper, it was wild. It was just wild. Like a bunch of people just sitting there. I'm like, and so I was like, all right, Johnny, like, just be you. Just be you. Forget about the throw up stuff. So I'm like shaking everybody's hand, like, what's up, blah, blah, joking around and stuff. And they tell me, yeah, sit on this one. Like, fuck. Like, I gotta sit on this audition. Like, I can't sit, man. And so I'm like, okay, I can't say no, because it's Alfonso who told me that he wanted me to sit.
Yeah.
Because he was gonna direct me through this audition. It wasn't just like read and then leave. He was like gonna try to, see my length or my width in my acting. And then so like, I wound up sitting down. I'm kind of like sitting down like this because I can't crunch over.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of doing this. I look like a fake Brando or something. I'm just kind of sitting there like this. But I'm just really just in pain. It wasn't even like me, I was just like in pain. And so they kind of look at me, I wound up reading the side, or doing the audition and stuff. And I felt good about it. And then, he kept on directing me in different directions just to see, like, the versatility or whatever of my acting. And so I wound up doing it. And they were like, just thank you so much. Cool. And then I peeked over at Leah, and she had this huge smile on her face. And I was just like, okay, I did good. I don't know if I'm getting the part, but I did good. I honored her words, which is like the most important thing for me. It's like she spilled her heart out on this page. Like, I just want to honor the words that you wrote for this character.
Which you obviously did.
And which I did. Smiling. Yeah, exactly. She was smiling. She was just happy. I was like, cool, job done. If I get the part, great, whatever. I did my job.
At any point, did you think maybe your appendix were about to burst, or did
I
you
got my
think it
appendix
was-
removed when I was a kid.
Yeah, there you go. That was
So
awful.
it's a long story, but basically what happened, I wind up leaving the audition. I run around the corner, start throwing up again. One of my good friends, Gary Perez, who's a tremendous actor, he's been on like everything. He surprised me in Los Angeles. He knew where I was auditioning, and he knew the time I was auditioning, and he just surprised me. Pull up in his car, and he knew it was my first time in LA, and so he just like beat this horn. He was like, "Yo, motherfucker, come in the car." I'm like, "Oh, let's go." He's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine, man." He's like, "How did it go?" I was like, "Great, man. It went fine. I was trying to play it cool." We drive like 3 blocks. I'm like, "Dude, pull the car over now. Like, pull the car over." He's like, he pulls the car over, and I just start throwing up everywhere. While I'm throwing up, my phone is buzzing like nonstop. I'm just like, it's my mom or my dad. I'm like, I can't do my dad. I'm like, I can't do this right now. Like, I'm just throwing up like crazy. I look at the phone. It's this 917 number that I don't recognize. It's a New York
The
area.
New York number, yeah.
I pick up. It's Alexa Fogle. She's like, I need you to come back. They want you to do the audition again. I'm like, I just been throwing up twice.
So you were honest with her, or you didn't tell her that?
No, I didn't tell her that. I don't even know if she knows about
Yeah.
it. And so
She will now.
Yeah, I know, right? And
Maybe you get a pay raise.
yeah, right. Yeah.
I'll
And
send
so-
this right to her agent.
Yeah, and then so I wind up leaving, or I wind up rushing back to the audition, and then she sees me like, "You're good." This is now. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She's like, "Are you sure you're okay? Like, you look a little pale." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. It's all good." I wind up going back in, just joking around with them. So I walked in. I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm Johnny Rios." They just saw me for like 30 minutes in the room, and they were all laughing. And I wind up doing it again because they all agreed that I had a New York accent, and which sometimes, most of the time, comes out when I act. And so I wound up doing it a different way, a more neutral accent, and then I left. When I went back to the hotel. I was like, felt like I was dying. Basically, what happened is I had bad food poisoning, and I had like 103-degree fever.
Oh man.
And then I had another callback for another show 2 days later. So I had to fly the next morning and rush to another
Of
audition.
all the things that have to do with that
it
kind of
was so
sick.
bad. It was
It's bad
so
enough
bad.
when you have a cold or
Yeah.
sinus infection, but to be
So
that sick.
bad. Yeah, but I got the role, so maybe I should get
Yeah, maybe
food
start
poisoning.
puking all over the
Yeah,
place.
yeah, maybe I should start puking
The
every
beginning of
audition.
your bulimia.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Chambers.
No.
You look pretty skinny now. Now
Yeah,
I'm starting to worry. What's
I
going
got
on?
it. Yeah.
Johnny, this has been great. Part 2, we're going to delve into Chambers.
Cool.
And we'll talk about some other things that people will be interested in.
Cool, man.
So check out Part 2.